Don't go to work today, you'll see why. That's the entire message. 6:15 in the morning, and Howard Walsh, our company lawyer who once threatened to audit a coffee machine for charging tax twice, sends me that. No explanation, no context, just sitting in my phone like a grenade with the pin pulled halfway out. I'm Bob Anderson, 55 years old, and I've been getting up at 5:45 every morning for the past 22 years to make sure Iron Bridge Defense Solutions doesn't mess up billion-dollar government contracts. This morning feels different. I'm standing in my kitchen in Arlington, still in yesterday's Carhartt shirt, watching the coffee drip while my phone keeps buzzing. LinkedIn notifications, company Slack alerts. I scroll through, and there it is. Post after post about exciting new leadership direction, and thrilled to welcome visionary guidance from Jessica Whitfield. Visionary guidance, give me a break. I swipe through the corporate cheerleading parade until I see the one that really gets me, a professionally shot photo of Jessica, the founder's 32-year-old daughter who just got promoted to acting CEO, posed like she's about to cure cancer with an MBA. Caption reads, "Day 1, let's disrupt everything." She actually did it, pulled the trigger while I wasn't there to see it coming. My inbox is already a disaster zone. Meeting canceled. Leadership transition. Need your sign-off on Phase 3 compliance. Where's the Pentagon liaison report, Bob? The project teams are scrambling, but nobody's told them I'm gone yet. Or maybe Jessica figured she'd just delete my name from the org chart and the $850 million defense modernization project would keep running itself. I lean against the counter, sip my coffee, and just breathe. No shaking, no panic. You know that feeling when you're watching a car accident in slow motion? That's what this felt like. 22 years of government compliance work, late nights fixing vendor screw-ups, explaining to Pentagon officials why we're the right contractor for their military base upgrades, and now I'm just a guy with coffee and nowhere to be. Yesterday I got fired, not in a quiet conversation behind closed doors, not with a handshake and a severance package. No, this was Jessica's big debut performance in front of the board during what was supposed to be our quarterly planning meeting. She stood at the head of that conference table like she was pitching on Shark Tank, not gutting the operations department. I've analyzed our organizational structure and identified redundancies in legacy oversight, she said, her voice smooth with the confidence of someone who's never filed a Defense Department compliance report in her life. Effective immediately, Bob Anderson's position is being sunset to streamline our operational efficiency. Sunset. Like I was a government program that outlived its usefulness. I didn't argue, didn't make a scene, just picked up my notebook, slid my security badge across the glass table, and walked out. I remember Patricia Coleman from the board reaching toward me like she wanted to say something, but nothing came out. Just that awkward silence that falls over a room when people realize they've witnessed a mistake in real time. Jessica never looked up from her presentation slides. Here's what she didn't know. Defense authorization, clause 23.7. Nobody really knows about it until they need it. It's buried in the fine print of our contract with the Pentagon, the kind of detail that makes lawyers rich and executives poor. I drafted that clause myself 3 years ago with Howard's help, making sure that Phase 3 of our military base modernization project couldn't move forward without the named security officer's physical presence and authorization. Guess whose name is still on that paperwork? The morning light was just hitting the 47th floor when the emergency meeting got called. Subject line, critical operational issue, 8:30 a.m., mandatory. No agenda, just a time and room number that probably made Jessica's stomach drop like a broken elevator. I wasn't there to see it, but Howard filled me in later. Jessica walked in with her usual confidence, fresh suit, portfolio full of digital transformation slides. The board filed in looking confused. Some of them probably thought it was another one of her innovation presentations. Then came the phone call. Colonel Martinez from the Pentagon Contracting Office patched through to the conference room speaker. Voice like gravel, no patience for corporate games. We've been notified of personnel changes affecting the Iron Bridge contract. Can you confirm that Robert Anderson is no longer your designated security officer for Phase 3 operations? You could hear a pin drop. Jessica tried to salvage it. Yes, we've streamlined our operations structure. I can provide you with our new organizational chart and— Ma'am, stop talking. Colonel Martinez cut her off. Per Defense Authorization Clause 23.7, all Phase 3 activities are hereby suspended until the named security officer resumes authorization or a replacement is formally vetted and approved by our compliance division. Patricia Coleman, who'd been on our board for 8 years, slowly turned to stare at Jessica. What exactly does that mean? Howard Walsh opened his folder, pulled out a document with red tabs. No dramatics, just facts. It means the Pentagon just shut us down. Every vendor, every subcontractor, every delivery truck. Dead stop until Bob Anderson physically authorizes continuation or we complete a 45-day replacement process. Nobody said a word. Howard kept reading. Unauthorized continuation of work triggers liquidated damages of $125,000 per hour, enforceable immediately. Someone whispered. Per hour? Per hour, Howard confirmed. Starting from yesterday morning when the termination took effect, Jessica's face went white. That can't be right. We can just designate someone else to— No, we can't, Howard said. The Pentagon doesn't work like a tech startup. They require continuity. Background checks, security clearances. Bob Anderson has a top-secret clearance that took 18 months to process. His replacement would need the same level of vetting. By 10:15 a.m., the first vendor got kicked out of Fort Braxton. Security walked them off the base, half-finished cable installations just sitting there. By 10:30, our suppliers in North Carolina got the official shutdown notice. By 11 Utah, procurement froze every purchase order tied to Phase 3, right down to the safety equipment and backup generators. And by 11:45, the Pentagon sent a message that made grown executives sweat. Iron Bridge Defense Solutions is in violation of contract terms. Penalty enforcement begins retroactively from termination of security officer. Current damages, $375,000 and counting. Do not test our resolve. The damage meter was running like a taxi in downtown DC traffic. $125,000 every single hour, 24/7, until someone with the right clearance put their signature on the restart authorization. Inside Iron Bridge's headquarters, the lights were on, but nobody was driving the ship. Jessica stood in the middle of the operations center, surrounded by analysts who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. Someone had printed out the shutdown notice and highlighted it in yellow, like that might make it hurt less. Every computer screen showed the same thing: access denied, security authorization required. Down the hall, legal was in crisis mode. Howard was probably in there calculating how long it would take to burn through our entire quarterly profit margin. I could picture him with his sleeves rolled up, wearing that grim smile he gets when someone finally steps on the landmine he warned them about. By noon, James Whitfield was on a plane from Switzerland. Word was he got a call while presenting at some defense industry conference in Geneva. His assistant whispered something in his ear, and the next thing anyone knew, he was heading to Reagan National. When the founder drops everything and flies halfway around the world, you know somebody messed up bad. Back at headquarters, Jessica tried damage control. She called a department heads meeting, rolled out her crisis management strategy. 10 bullet points of pure wishful thinking. We'll expedite a security clearance for someone else, she announced, trying to sound calm. Howard didn't look up from his legal pad. Can't be done. Why not? Because the Pentagon moves at Pentagon speed. Background investigations take months, not days. They interview your neighbors, your old teachers, people you worked with 20 years ago. Bob's clearance file is probably thicker than a phone book. So what do? Howard looked at her with the expression of a man watching a train wreck in slow motion. We wait, we pay penalties, and we pray Bob Anderson answers his phone. Someone from finance quietly left the meeting, probably to update our insurance company or call their therapist. The founder's daughter, the MBA with all the answers, finally asked the question she should have asked before firing me. How much are we talking about? Howard did the math on his calculator. $125,000 times 24 hours equals $3 million per day. We're already at $750,000 and climbing. The room went dead quiet. Not the good kind of quiet, the kind where you can hear money bleeding out through the walls. And me? I was sitting in my kitchen, eating a sandwich and reading the Pentagon compliance manual I kept on my bookshelf. My phone kept buzzing with messages from Howard, but I wasn't in any hurry to respond. After 22 years of being the guy who fixed other people's mistakes, it felt pretty good to watch someone else sweat for a change. Around 2:30 p.m., my phone rang. Howard Walsh, calling from his personal cell. Bob, we need to talk. I figured you might. Can you come in? I looked out my window at the neighbor's dog running around the yard, happy as could be. I don't think so, Howard. I'm not exactly employed there anymore. Bob, you know what this is about. Yeah, I do. Jessica wanted to streamline operations. Looks like she got what she asked for. There was a long pause. The board wants to make this right. The board had their chance to make it right yesterday morning. Bob, we're bleeding cash. I noticed. Howard sighed. What's it gonna take? That was the question I'd been waiting for. I'd spent the morning reviewing my employment contract, the one Jessica never bothered to read before firing me. Turns out I had some leverage she didn't know about. I want my job back, but not the same job. Senior Director of Defense Operations reporting directly to the board. No more going through Jessica or whoever they stick in the CEO chair next. That's reasonable. I want 3% equity in the company, vested immediately, not stock options that might be worth something someday. Real equity. Silence on the other end. Bob, that's worth about $4 million at current valuation. Still cheaper than what you're paying in penalties right now. What else? Jessica gets moved to a consulting role with no operational authority over defense contracts. And I wanted in writing that any future changes to security officer designation require 90 days notice and Pentagon pre-approval. They'll probably agree to that. One more thing. I want a formal apology from the board, acknowledging that my termination was a mistake that put our biggest contract at risk. Howard was quiet for a long moment. I'll present your terms to the emergency board meeting. You do that. And Howard, tell them the penalty meter is still running while they think it over. Every hour they wait costs another $125,000. I'll make sure they understand that. Good. Oh, and Howard, make sure Jessica's in that meeting when you read my terms. I want her to hear exactly what her streamlining cost the company. By 6:00 p.m., I had my answer. Not from Howard, not from Jessica, but from James Whitfield himself. He called my personal number, the one only 3 people in the company had. Bob, it's James. I just landed at Reagan. Evening, Mr. Whitfield. I want to apologize personally for what happened. Jessica made a mistake, and I take full responsibility for not providing better oversight. That was more than I expected. Appreciate that, sir. Your terms are acceptable. All of them. Can you be in the office tomorrow morning to sign the paperwork? I can do that. And Bob, can you authorize the restart tonight? We've got vendors sitting idle, and every hour costs us more than some people make in a year. I thought about it. 22 years of getting up early, staying late, fixing other people's mistakes. Years of being the guy who kept the trains running while other people got the credit. Maybe it was time to be the guy who got the credit too. I'll make some calls tonight, I said. Have the paperwork ready by 8:00 a.m. Thank you, Bob. See you in the morning. The emergency board meeting that evening was something I wish I could have seen. Howard told me about it later, and it sounded like a war crimes tribunal. James Whitfield walked into that conference room like a man who'd just watched his house burn down while he was on vacation. He didn't sit down, didn't shake hands, just stood at the head of the table and looked at his daughter like he was seeing her for the first time. Explain to me, he said quietly, how we went from a routine quarterly meeting to a $1.5 million penalty in less than 24 hours. Jessica tried to rally. Dad, I was implementing the digital transformation strategy we discussed. Bob Anderson's position was identified as legacy overhead that... Stop. James held up his hand. Howard, what's the current damage total? Howard looked at his watch. As of 7:30 p.m., we're at approximately $1.625 million. The meter's been running for 37 hours. Patricia Coleman, who'd been quiet through the whole mess, finally spoke up. James, none of us knew about this clause. If you had read the contracts you're supposed to oversee, this wouldn't have happened. James wasn't yelling, but his voice cut through the room like a cold wind. Bob Anderson wrote that clause specifically to prevent exactly this kind of reckless decision-making. He turned back to Jessica. You fired the one person who understood our most important contract without reading the fine print. Do you have any idea what that tells our Pentagon contacts about our competence? Jessica's voice got smaller. The MBA program taught us that disruption requires bold moves. This isn't a Stanford case study, Jessica. This is a $850 million defense contract with real consequences. Bob Anderson has been managing Pentagon compliance since you were in middle school. The room went dead quiet. Howard later told me you could practically hear Jessica's career collapsing in real time. James looked around the table. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to accept Bob's terms, all of them, because we don't have a choice. We're going to apologize publicly for this mistake, and we're going to make sure it never happens again. He paused, then looked directly at his daughter. Jessica, effective immediately, you're transitioning to a strategic consulting role. No operational authority, no contract oversight, no personnel decisions. You'll focus on business development opportunities that don't require security clearances. The silence that followed was the kind that makes people uncomfortable in their own skin. Furthermore, James continued, any future changes to key personnel positions will require unanimous board approval and 90-day advance notice to affected government contracts. Stanley Brooks, who'd been on the board since the company started, cleared his throat. James, what about the financial impact? The shareholders are going to want answers. The shareholders are going to want us to still be in business next quarter. Bob Anderson's terms are cheaper than losing the Pentagon as a client. The next morning, I walked back into Ironbridge Defense Solutions as Senior Director of Defense Operations, not the guy Jessica fired for being legacy overhead. Same building, same elevator, but everything else was different. My new office was on the executive floor. Corner office, view of the Potomac, door that closed when I wanted it to. The nameplate was already installed. Robert Anderson, Senior Director of Defense Operations. I sat down at my desk, opened my laptop, logged into the Pentagon contractor portal, and with a few keystrokes, authorized the restart of Phase 3 operations. It felt good to be the guy with the keys again. The emails started immediately, work authorization restored, vendor access reactivated, Phase 3 operations resuming normal schedule. I looked out the window at the Pentagon across the river, then picked up my secure phone to call Colonel Martinez. Colonel, this is Bob Anderson at Ironbridge. You can tell your people that Phase 3 is back online. Good to hear your voice, Anderson. We were wondering when you'd sort out that mess. All sorted now, sir. Business as usual. Glad to have you back in the driver's seat. Some of these young executives think they can run defense contracts like software companies. Won't be happening again, Colonel. Good to hear. See you at the quarterly review next month. That afternoon, there was a brief company-wide announcement about organizational restructuring. Jessica Whitfield would be transitioning to a strategic consulting role, focusing on innovative business development opportunities that leverage her unique perspective. Translation: she'd keep her title and paycheck, but she wouldn't be making decisions about anything that mattered anymore. I never gloated, never rubbed it in, didn't need to. The penalty meter had done all the talking necessary. The final tally was $1.875 million for a 39-hour shutdown. The cost of learning that experience matters, that some jobs require more than an MBA and good intentions. They wanted to streamline operations. Turned out I was the operations. The weeks that followed were interesting, to put it mildly. Word travels fast in the defense contractor world, and the story of Jessica Whitfield's $1.875 million mistake became the kind of cautionary tale that gets told at industry conferences. I'd run into guys I knew from other companies at the Pentagon, and they'd shake their heads and chuckle. Heard you taught somebody a lesson up at Ironbridge, they'd say. About time someone reminded these MBA kids that experience counts for something. The funny thing was, I never set out to teach anyone a lesson. I just did my job the way I'd been trained to do it. Thoroughly, carefully, with attention to details that other people found boring. Turns out those boring details were worth nearly $2 million in penalties. Jessica and I maintained a professional relationship after everything settled down. She'd nod when we passed in the hallway, and I'd nod back. No hard feelings on my part. She was young, ambitious, and thought she knew better than the old guys who'd been doing this work since before she was born. Life has a way of correcting that kind of thinking. What I found most satisfying wasn't the money or the corner office, though both were nice. It was the respect. For 22 years, I'd been the guy who showed up early, stayed late, and made sure things got done right. I never made waves, never demanded recognition, just did the work that needed doing. But getting fired like that, in front of the whole board, being called legacy overhead, that stung more than I let on. Not because of the job loss, but because of what it said about how they valued everything I'd contributed. The comeback felt good, I won't lie. Walking back into that building, knowing that I held all the cards, that they needed me more than I needed them, that was something special. 6 months later, Jessica left Ironbridge to start her own consulting firm, pursuing new opportunities in digital transformation, the announcement said. I heard through the grapevine that she was doing okay, helping smaller companies modernize their operations. Good for her. Maybe getting knocked down taught her something about humility. James Whitfield and I developed a better working relationship than we'd ever had before. He made a point of stopping by my office every few weeks, asking for my input on contract negotiations and strategic decisions. "Bob," he'd say, "you've been here longer than anyone. What do you think about this?" That felt good too. Being asked for my opinion instead of just being expected to execute someone else's decisions. The equity stake turned out to be worth more than I'd calculated. Defense contracts kept growing, and Ironbridge's stock price went up accordingly. The 3% I negotiated was worth about $6 million by the end of that fiscal year. Not bad for a guy who was legacy overhead. But the real victory was the change in company culture. The new personnel policies required 90-day advance notice for any changes to security-cleared positions. With mandatory Pentagon consultation, no more surprise firings of critical personnel, no more treating experienced workers like disposable parts. The younger employees started treating the senior staff differently too. Less eye-rolling when we talked about proper procedures, more questions about why things were done certain ways. They began to understand that those legacy processes existed for good reasons. I kept working there for another 3 years before finally retiring at 58. By then, I'd trained 2 successors and documented every procedure I'd developed over my 25-year career. No more single points of failure, no more institutional knowledge walking out the door with one person. My retirement party was held in the same conference room where Jessica had fired me. James Whitfield gave a speech about dedication and institutional memory. He mentioned that the company had never had another contract compliance issue after the restructuring event of 3 years prior. He didn't mention Jessica by name, but everyone in the room knew what he was talking about. Looking back, I realized that getting fired was probably the best thing that could have happened to me. Not because I enjoyed the drama or the conflict, but because it forced everyone, including me, to recognize what I was really worth. For too many years, I'd been content to stay in the background, to be the reliable guy who kept things running smoothly. I never asked for recognition, never pushed for better compensation, never demanded the respect I'd earned. Sometimes it takes a crisis to show people what they've been taking for granted. The $125,000 per hour penalty clause was always there in the contract, waiting like a loaded gun. I'd written it as insurance, hoping it would never be needed. I never imagined it would become my ticket to finally getting the recognition I deserved. Jessica thought she was modernizing the company by getting rid of the old guard. What she really did was demonstrate why the old guard existed in the first place. Some jobs require more than enthusiasm and business school theories. Some jobs require experience, patience, and the kind of deep knowledge that only comes from doing the work day after day, year after year. The defense industry isn't Silicon Valley. You can't move fast and break things when those things include billion-dollar government contracts and national security projects. The Pentagon doesn't care about your MBA or your disruptive innovation strategies. They care about competence, reliability, and getting the job done right. That's a lesson worth $1.875 million apparently. These days, I split my time between fishing and consulting. Companies call me when they're having compliance issues or need help with Pentagon contracts. My rate is $500 an hour, and I'm booked solid 6 months out. Not bad for legacy overhead.